Good morning and hello and happy blank window. Let's try this again. Maybe it was working right before. Okay, so let's see what I can do. Let's replug some cables in. And you try again. All right, now we get it. It's a great Sunday apparently. Get a debug this thing. So let's see. Let's see what I can do. Let's deactivate you, reactivate you. There we go. Philby, what's up? I'm not letting you in the closet. He wants to go into a storage closet area in the basement here, and it's got lots of hiding places, and it's got like cement on the floor, so it's like nice and cool and different, and there's lots of spiders and spider webs and other little things that he could explore around and chase. Cardboard boxes. But then there's like chemicals and other stuff, and he probably thinks that he wants to go and explore around those, and no, he doesn't. All right, well, I got this working, so we can now get ourselves set up. So let's open up our code space. No, workspace, not a code space. And I want to add our Screeps folder to this. So let's see, this is one up from this. We have Screeps. Inside there we have the Screeps Arena. So guess it's this one. Okay, so I want to launch the Docker file too. All right, so Docker run. Okay, so I'm having it remove every time. I don't think I need to have it remove every time. I think instead we can give it a new name. We'll call this Screeps Arena, I suppose. A dash IT. Okay, so our current working directory to code. I am not in the correct directory. I want this to go into Screeps Arena, and I think inside of there is the correct directory. Yeah, this has all that stuff. Okay, so send this all to code. Brooksville, Screeps Arena. Let's try this out. Then. All right, so we're in /code. We're in here, and then I think, let's see, it's been like an entire week since I did this. So we want a cargo Screeps deploy -m, and then it's whichever one we're doing. So like, for example, want the Screeps.toml. We're doing, for example, we just did tutorial 8. And hopefully this won't happen too often in the future, because I'll just keep this container around, so it won't be rebuilding it every single time. But yes, okay, so the last one we did was harvesting energy. And so we harvested energy from an energy source, and then we gave it to a spawner, I think. I think there's only 10 tutorials, so we're on to the second to the last one, I believe. Right, next one up is going to be construction. You can not only spawn creeps, but also build structures. It just needs some energy and a worker creep to accomplish that. First, use the create construction site function to place an object called construction site somewhere in the game. You should specify the coordinates in the prototype of the feature structure. Okay, so basically I tell it what to build, where to build it, and then I get a construction site back. I then can tell a creep to go build that. Okay, that worked. So that copied over. So let's go ahead and get ourselves set up with tutorial 9. So this one inside of here, not exactly. It's tutorial construction. Okay, so I've added you here, I've added you here. Oh wait, you're not exactly correct. I want you to fix 2. Okay, so then we're good here. Instead of Screeps Arena itself, we're going to create under tutorials a construction file. And I think we just need to run. Okay, so that should be happy there. All right, then we just get to do all the fun stuff with actually getting this to work. So, what do we want to do for construction? We need to. Okay, so we're going to run this create construction site. So it's a 1-2 punch type thing. We first create a construction site. I kind of want to build this first. So I'm going to build this, deploy it. It's essentially doing nothing at all. So that's going to be fine. I want to actually see what the terrain looks like here. So we can determine where to build this construction site. Because I think we have to hard code it. Yes, I know. We failed. Okay, so here's a energy container. So we can use this to refill our creep. We have our creep and then we have nothing else. So they were suggesting like 50, 55. If I do like 50-50 right here, that's the exactly center of the map. That should be fine. We can do that, 50-50. Then we'll have to sort of like move back and forth. That should be fine. We'll do 50-50. So first up, we're going to create a construction site, and let's create a... I wonder what type it is. I want to create a const to sort of like store where that's going to be, but maybe I'll do that. I'll do that later after I know what the type I need is. So construction site first. And we can go to the documentation. So we have objects, functions, create construction site. It takes a position and a prototype. So find a position from the shortest path from the given position or null otherwise. And position is just an object with X and Y properties. So I guess we first need to create an object, don't we? So and really this is going to be like a JS object. So let's call this a vector. It's a vector 2. So we're going to have an X, which is some type, U32 maybe, and a Y, which is a U32. And we're going to return a JS object, a JS something. Okay, so we create a new object like this. So that gives us this object. Strangely, I do not need to, I don't need to use this object to be mutable. And then we're going to reflect the X and Y into it. So reflect set. Okay, so the target is going to be a reference to the vector 2. The property key is going to be, oh, this JS value. Right, so we need a JS JS value. So that needs to be something like JS value from stir X, and then the actual value, which will be this X. And then if you fail for some reason, we have to handle this. Also, you are upset. Oh, right, because you need to be a reference. Okay. You are upset because you need to be a Oh, you need to be a JS value too. Oh, because all numbers are floats, right? All numbers in JavaScript are secretly 64-bit floats. That's it. That's what we can do. Now I can make this a string, but I need to make this a number in here, I bet. So F64, so you're an F64. Regardless of what you think you are, you're an F64. Okay, so then you're gonna be X. That does make you happy. Okay, so if we have this error, I want to do the warn. Error setting X while creating vector 2. All right. Well, the first thing I'm noticing is that I'm doing this. I think that I want to write a little function to sort of like do this for me. I wonder if I can. So let's try this. We'll do an internal function. So set key value on JS object. Okay, so we'll have the object, which is going to be a reference to an object. Then we'll have our key, which is going to be a stir. And then we'll have our value. And so in this specific case, that's going to be a number, right? So set F64 on JS object, okay? We're going to return back. Actually, we're not going to return anything back. We will panic if this fails. Because I want to handle this and do this in here. So we'll do the warn inside of, in the case that this happens. In case that goes horribly wrong. So then we'll pull you down in here. So if let error reflects set target. Okay, so this is this object. The JS value. Okay, so then you're the key. And then our value is the value. If you fail, so editing, I want this to be error setting key while creating okay, so while editing on object. And then that's done. So then we can just do this here. So we create our we create our object. We're gonna return this here. I'll make you happy. And then we'll set f64 object. So we'll have a reference to the object. We'll have our key is going to be an X, and our value is going to be this X. And there we go. I want to do this again. So same object, our key is going to be a Y, and our value is going to be this Y. Can I, oh right, these are 2. Okay. So then we want to actually run this here. So then you're going to be create JS vector 2. Okay, so let's do 50.0.0. So this is going to be the location of our turret. What language am I programming in? Not the right one, apparently. These are... Okay. What did I do? I'm doing it all wrong. Okay, so JS vector 2. I want it just to be set set key value on object at 64. And then for this function, I do need to allow dead code because we're in a feature and it's sort of freaking out a little bit. All right, so we're happy now. So we have a turret location. I can now create, so our construction site. Really, this is a turret construction site. Create construction site. Oh, interesting. Okay, so they're gonna create that for me. Oh, nice. So I can just do 50.0. Oh, and you need to be a U8. So you're just 50. Oh, that's so much nicer that you do that for me. So all of the stuff that I did should have looked at the API that was given to me as opposed to only looking at the JavaScript part of it. Structure type. Right. So a structure type, which we have access to. This is a structure tower. And you get, okay, so then you give us a result. Okay, so let's do this in like sort of a handling error type way. So let turret construction site equals if let error equals this. Okay, so we know we're gonna have an else. Okay, so if we have an error, the else is going to return the actual thing. So we're going to get our... Oh, I don't have access to it. Maybe we want to do a match. Okay, so if we have okay, we're going to have a construction site. And I want to now return that construction site. Now, if we have an error, I want to do a couple different things here. I want to warn. So, error creating construction site, and let's take this error and see what we can do with it. Oh, it's just the return code. So maybe I can just do that. And then, then I want to panic. And then you're all happy. Okay, so now we have our turret construction site. Expected a value, found a structure tower. Oh, right, it's prototypes. It's prototypes. So I want prototypes, structure tower. And it wants this to be a reference. Expected reference objects, found a reference structure tower. Okay, so structure type. So you're just a general object. Okay, so what are you expecting? You want this to be the prototype, which is a class. A prototype that extends game object. Okay. Can I get the object off of that? Okay, so if I have, you want an object. So the prototypes, do prototype constant? I somehow feel like this doesn't give me what I want. Oh, look at this. Okay, there's this function prototype. Oh, that's okay, there's function prototype that gives me this thing itself. Oh, okay. So I can do prototypes structure tower dot prototype, and that should give me the reference to the object. That seems to be working. Okay, so now I have the turret construction site. It's been built at position 50-50. Next up, I want to actually build it. So I want to make sure that this works first, though. Let's go ahead and run this code. Oh, and here it is. So here is our construction site that we've created at position 50-50. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so they were... Oh, look at this. And now we get an error saying like, hey, why are you trying to create it again? So we should handle that too. So create a construction site, but only once, right? If we've created it before, I don't need to create it again. Which means that I want to check to see what tick we're on. And if we're on tick 1, go ahead and create it. So let ticks I think. Okay, it's game utils get ticks. Oh, and I have the tick here, so we can actually pass this in. Oh, that's weird. We're in tick. And there's also a tick here. Oh, that's fun. And you are a U32. Okay, so you're going to be a current tick. Okay, so if tick is 1, then I want to do this, right? We want to get the turret location. We want to do this. Let's abstract this out into a function. We don't need these anymore. Sorry about that. So we'll do a function, create turret construction site. Okay, so we do that once. Don't need to create the turret location like that. We just know that it's going to be this one right here. Now, construction site. So every tick through, I lose all of my state. I could potentially store this into the creep. But I don't know if that's going to be really helpful. I think that we're just going to match and create this. And in which case, if it's okay, I don't want to do anything. So there's no reason this shouldn't be an if-let error. Okay, so we create the construction site. This should still work, and then we shouldn't get any errors now after the first tick. Yeah, so here's our construction site. No errors, despite the fact that we're on multiple ticks in the future. So great. Next up. So that's tick 1. Now, every tick after that, I need to get the construction sites. I also need to get the creeps, and so what are the things I need to do? For each creep, I need to For each creep, I need to tell it to go get energy. If you have energy, so if you're full up on energy, so we need the roll system, right? So we need 2 rolls. So we're gonna have an energy, which is sort of like gather, so like get energy. Maybe this is gonna be like refill energy, and then our other role is gonna be construct, so like building. If we're filling on energy, I can also put the target in here because we can reflect something into the creep, and that sort of hangs around, and we can gather that later. So I can make this a tuple type, refill energy, and then I want probably the target of the. So I want like the ID of this, then I can just get by ID. So I can get the ID here. I probably want this to be a structure container. So structure container, and then construct, I want this to be a construction site. Like that. We'll have to clone it, but I don't think JavaScript really cares about that because it's just looking for like the X and Y properties and everything else. So we'll be fine. So on our first run through, okay, on tick 1, we create the current the Turk construction site, and then we have to assign roles. So let's, I guess, like get all of our so let's get like our creeps. Now in this case we only have 1 creep, so just my creep equals, let's just abstract this into another function. So get creeps. That won't take anything in, and you will return a vector of creep. Okay, so I have my vector of creeps. You're all happy. I take, oh, and I can really just grab the first one, right? Because there's literally only 1 creep here. No, let's just do it. Let's do it the way in reality we would have multiple of these. So, my creeps. Dota 2 Attitude, hello! How are you doing today? Let's see. You were looking through stock crap. Yeah, I saw your message in Discord earlier. I am not really sort of like big into stock, so I don't know anything about that world. I do know people that have made bots to sort of like trade them and do that, and that always seems interesting and fascinating, but I've just never really got into it because I don't want to lose all my money on some like bot that I create that just spends it all. Oh, your dad knows a little bit, so that helped. Oh, that's awesome. That's great having like a family member that knows that you can like be taught by. Must be on the day trading level, you're doing something different. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I have my creeps. The first thing I want to set what the role should be based upon what their current state is. So we want to set role. Well, I guess like first of all, we need to get the current, like get the role that they should be. So we could impl this on role. So impl role. Let's hub function. What do I want this to be? So this is going to create a new role. So I guess like new. So I want to create this role, and it's going to give me the role. I feel like the word new is not right here. I want to like determine what the role is. I'm just going to do create. So I want to create a role. We're going to take in a creep, which is going to be a reference to a creep. We're going to turn a self. Okay, so for this creep, if we have no energy whatsoever, we have to refill the energy. So that's the first thing, right? So if creep dot store okay, so get free capacity. So then if you have used absolutely nothing, so if you're empty, so if you're used capacity, returns the capacity used by the specified resource for a general purpose store. It returns total used capacity if resource is undefined. Yeah, so I want used and if it's 0, right? So like get used capacity, none. So just like whatever you have. Also, hello homeless. Okay. So then if creep store get use capacity equals 0. So we have nothing left. Then it's time to refill the energy, which means I need to find the structure container. So let's create a function to find the structure container. I don't want this to be a vector, right? Because we only have one of them. So structure container. So get objects by prototype. Prototypes, structure container, and then just give me the first one. Okay, so then structure container. This will crash in the case that we don't find one. So let's actually handle this properly. So let containers. So if containers is empty, then I want to do a warn. Could not find container and panic. Okay. We got to this point. We know you exist. Containers. I can just do first and unwrap. And that unwrap is safe. Oh, you're a reference. I wanna take ownership, so never mind. Do that. Okay, so at this point, we now have the structure container. We can get that guaranteed, or otherwise we get a error message. So we can now return a self. Refill energy. And then this is going to be our get container. Okay, so that's halfway through. The construction site is the other one, right? So if this is creating the role for it first. I'm not worried about setting this on the creep yet. Okay, so if our capacity is 0, we know we have to refill the energy. Next up, do I want to like get do I want to change this to be something like new role? Because if I do that, then I can do this as an option with a self inside. So then you become a sum. You don't know what to do. You need a Redis instance, and you can get it for $15 a month, Redis as a service, or you drop the Redis container in managed container service for $7. I mean, okay. So if you need it, if you absolutely have to have it, then the $7 one, like, okay. The next thing is, are you going to be paid for this? Are you going to get money for it? Because if somebody's going to pay you, that might cover the cost of it. And you can then take that cost and pass it on to your customers. But if it's just for you and you don't have like anything else, then $7 a month might be the way to go. Now, the third option is to put Redis into the equivalent of like an EC2 instance or a DigitalOcean droplet, which then drops it down to like $3 to $5 per month. That's another option. Yeah, like $3.50 per month. So if you're not going to be paid for this and it's just a personal project, it's probably the way I would go to begin with. And then as soon as I start making money from it, if I ever make money from it, then it would jump up to the managed service, $15 a month, and then increase the just make sure that I'm like that cost has been covered by whatever service I'm charging for. Stacking, hello. You highly doubt you're doing anything at 0.1% scale that needs Redis. Don't over optimize. There are some tools and libraries that I notice like behind the scenes. If we're using them, they say like, hey, we absolutely have to have Redis. Like, give us Redis. I've seen a few of those, especially queues. Like if I've set up queues. Now that being said, oftentimes we don't really need a queue or like a fancy queue, so that might go back to your point stacking. So that's true. That it is true. Like there might be a way just not to have Redis at all, then that's $0, which is the best cost savings. We want to use it as a caching mechanism for the web app. So I guess like the next question would be, do you have metrics for the web app to show that you need caching that's not being handled by the browsers? Because the browsers will do caching for you. You can't actually turn that off. It will auto cache a lot of stuff. And maybe that's fine. Let's see. Okay, continuing on. Group store, get use capacity. Okay, so we get this. So this is if our use capacity is 0. We want to do this one. Now, next up, if our used capacity is at full, we then want to that's probably it. We only choose a new role if we're at 0 or if we're at full, and that's it. Everything else should be fine, I think. So else if our creep store get free capacity is 0. Okay, so if our free capacity is 0 at this point, now I want to get return a sum, self, construct, and I want to get construction site. And then finally, if we have an else, it's a none. There's no change that needs to happen. So we don't need to have a different role now. So at this point, so we get all our creeps, and now we're gonna loop through the creeps and then find a new role. So for creep in my creeps, do this as a reference. I don't really need ownership. I then want to grab, okay, so new role. So this should probably be an if let, right? If let some role equals role new role creep. Okay, so at this point in time, I know that we need to add a new role to this creep. So I want to essentially do a reflect and set this on the creep. That's fine if we clone these. Okay, so I've set a role on our creep. Can I record an SEO course? You want to learn how to do SEO properly. Oh man, there's so much to SEO. I took an SEO course a long time ago, and I do remember one of the things, like, so I remember like a long tail and all sorts of other stuff. And I remember I got this tool that allowed me to query, I can't remember what it was. Like there's a bunch of tools that have like SaaS websites, like SaaS sites that have tracked different like domains and websites and like what they're using and what their keywords and SEO are and what their traffic is. It's a super fascinating world. That was a long time ago, and I'm sure things have changed. So I would need to relearn that. It might be good. I might need to relearn it anyways to optimize for my website. Uh-oh. What was that? Hold on. Give me a second. I'll figure this out. I want, oh, Screaming Frog. Oh, was that what you linked to? Screaming Frog? I've never heard of this. Hold on. Screaming Frog. Huh. Yes, this was not the tool that I used. Oh, it's a UK-based SEO agency and the creators of the famous website crawler and log file analysis tools. Well, that's cool. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of these tools like give you just sort of information about like what you're looking at. And it's like that's half of SEO is just sort of researching and figuring out what your competitors are doing and then try to do it like slightly better. But then there's like this other half, which is like understanding like the code side of it and like what these search engines are really looking for. And I don't know that side at all. I also know that Google is constantly changing everything they're doing, and then now it's becoming more complex because Bing has gained in popularity since when I took that course. DuckDuckGo actually exists now. It wasn't even a thing back then. And then they'd have their own search engine optimizations that we need to go for. So now it's like multiple search engine optimizations, which is good. Like everything that just makes it so that Google doesn't take over the world is probably a good thing, but it also makes it more complex from our point of view. So it's a long way of saying that I would like to do that, but I don't have enough information. DuckDuckGo has been around for a lot longer than you think. Oh, well, okay. Well, then that's just me not knowing what was what. I didn't really know about DuckDuckGo until like somebody showed it to me, and it like felt like it was just it didn't have much, like it's grown a huge amount since I started using it, to the point where it's like now this valid business structure. I know some people who are working there. They have like their entire email thing. They have like a lot of cool stuff going for it. Like, and I use it as my daily driver too. Like I only switch over to Google if I can't get DuckDuckGo to like give me a search result that works. So anyways, long way of saying that I would love to do that, but I don't know how. What I'll do is I'll add this along with the Screaming Frog. Let me go into my project. Let me add create a course on SEO. I guess it would just be on SEO. It's not SEO optimization. Well, maybe it's optimization. Oh no, that's with the O in SEO is optimization. So create a course on SEO. So then I'll do Requested by Homeless 207 on Twitch. Possible tools is Screen Frog. Okay. I mean, maybe it's very possible. I don't know how much I need to do it on that because I might get lucky and have it be decent, especially if like nobody else is really doing the same space. But I don't really know. So it's gonna be one of those things where like we can definitely tweak it, and then something else I've always thought about doing, which would be bringing in specialists and having them basically like just asking them questions and like learning about it, then implementing something with them. So that could be something really interesting too, is finding somebody who is an SEO specialist and essentially doing like a pairing stream with them where they help me out, and that would go up onto the website. Google cares more about code nowadays than what's on a page. They look at load times and things like color contrast. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've heard that they've done things like Lighthouse score is like a big thing for them. Like they integrated that into the Google Chrome dev tools just to sort of like give you that option. I know they did AMP for a while, but that's been officially killed off now, if I remember. Like they had a blog post about how they're like, okay, we're not doing AMP, we're not like gonna change your scores based upon that. There's a lot of ways to sort of get banned by Google. Oh, sorry, Lighthouse still exists. What I'm talking about is AMP. AMP technically still exists, but I don't think they're doing the you're lower on our search results if you don't have AMP. Zilby, hi. You want to come here? Hi. You want to come here? Maybe? Hold on. Let me grab Zilby. Zilby says hi. He was being very vocal, but now he's... Are you done? I guess he didn't want... He doesn't... He's very cautious about the microphone and getting too close to it. He wants it to be on his terms and not being held while being like in this specific area. I don't know if it's like the lights in his eyes or something else. But that's the thing. Also, hello, Twisted Seed. Okay, but yeah, so that's a general thought. Like someday I might do some SEO type stuff. Someday, maybe. I can't promise when or that it will actually happen though. Okay, so we're creating this new role. So we get this, we create the new role. If it exists, we get this new role here. I want to store this new role in the creep, which means I want to like to string this. So let's impl to string for role. Function to string. Okay, so we'll match on self. And then on the here, we'll just do to owned. Okay, so right, this is gonna be the key. And then I'm gonna want the actual target. Okay, so then I'm gonna want to like put in what their role is, and then I'm going to want to put in a target, which is what this thing is. So for you, your refill energy. Construct. Okay, I think that works for you. Actually, I could just do it exactly like that. That might be a little bit easier. So I want to put the role. I want to put the role on the creep. So attach role to creep. So we'll take in the creep, which is a reference to a creep. I want to take in the role, which is a role. Okay, and I don't actually think I need to return anything. We're going to use reflect to attach this role to the creep. So we're going to do reflect set. Oh, so I do need some of those other functions. Okay, I do need some of those other functions. So target is going to be the creep. Property key. So this is where I want to do something like function. Create JS object from JS string, I think is what you need to be. A JS value. So create JS value from stir. So we'll take in a stir, which is a stir. Return a JS value. Okay, so I want this to be role. Doesn't make it any less like fast, does it? Kind of want to do the opposite here. Instead of creating the JS value from this, although maybe we could still do that. I want to like function set key value. So I want to do like the set key value onto here, with the value in this case being another string. Okay, so set key value. Set key value on object, and then you're going to be stir. For that one, it's the value is the stir, right? So then we have the object itself. So this is the. Right now we're only doing it to a creep, but what do you impl? I wonder if this like impulls an object like that. Yeah, I wonder if I can do like object, and you're something that a reference impl object. And then we have a key is a stir and a value, which is a stir. And I'm not going to return anything. So if I do that, you are upset. Expected trait found struct object. Oh, because you're not. So impulse, I could impul. I don't know what trait is for what trait to use for that. Okay, so object here is an actual struct object. Maybe I can go to object. But I don't know if there's any traits that I can then say is based upon this. So there's impl object, but that's not really anything. Equal for object, default for object. That's not really helpful. So let's do attach set key value. I'll do creep for now. And then I'll have to figure out some, like over time, we might figure out what this is. So we'll have a creep and you are a reference to a creep. We have a key that's a stir, and we have a value that's a stir. Okay, so then next up, we want to reflect. Okay, so this attach role to object is this thing here. Okay, so create this JS value from the string. This is not really all that helpful. Not doing anything useful of that, so I'm just going to change you to JS value from stir that, and then we'll do the exact same thing here. JS value from stir our value. Okay, so if we have an error, error setting value on creep. So I want the value, want that. Okay, so for my value, so for my key is key and then value. And then we panic and we're good to go. So attach role to creep is going to be set key value. So I don't really need to do this here. So here's my new role. For each creep, I then want to set key value creep. So my creep, I want a role. And then I want this to be the new role to string. So new role dot to string dot as stir. Okay, so now each creep is going to have a role on its object that I could then look up later. and grab that. So, okay. If it needs a new role, we set this on here. So it's now set. Then I want to get the role. Okay, so I want to get the role that we are. So I can import role and I can do a get role. Get role. We'll pass in a creep. I might want to pass in a stir, don't I? So let's do this one. Function get. This is gonna be get value creep. So I have our creep. We'll have our key, which is a stir, and that's it. We're gonna return a string and nothing else, because otherwise we're going to error out. So we're going to if let okay, so if let okay, and that's going to give us the value. Get, okay, so creep is our target, key is our key. Oh, but it needs to be this JS value. Okay, so if let okay, we get this from the string. You need to be a reference. I get this JS value. I need to. We know this is a string, so I need to turn this into a string, right? So I need to take my value dot as string maybe. I can do an is string just to check to see if it is a string. That might be a good idea. So is string. So we'll do if the value is a string, then I want to return that. So turn value dot as string. If you're not a string, I want to warn, so key is not a string on the creep. And then we'll just panic. Okay, so that's this if handled. Now this one, so we're going to return out of here if you're not okay. We couldn't get it on there, so we'll also do another warn. Error getting key from creep. And we'll also panic here. And I think that's it, right? That'll make you happy. Oh, right. So value as string gives me this option, which I think I'm safe now unwrapping because I've checked to see if it is a string. Okay. Now I can get the value as a creep. then let's get the role. So get value creep, we have the creep, and we have a role. And so now I have this role here. I need to turn that into a role. So I need to, we have a toString for role, and then I need a from. So impl from string. Okay, so this is going to be a stringified. It's going to be a stringified string, stringified role. So I guess I can just do lowercase string. I don't really know what else to do for it. How long have I been programming? Let's see. So you might be right stacking, but okay, so let's see. How long have I been programming? I didn't really seriously program at all until I was like had a job to do programming stuff. So I had, I wouldn't count much of the stuff that I did in college. Like I did some like JavaScript, and I did some like, other little programming stuff, and like, there's like the basic as a kid that like you get the book for, and you like create little games on your PCs because they all came with basic. And any of you who are old enough to remember that's a thing. I suppose like nowadays basic doesn't exist like on computers by default anymore. It's not in the BIOS. So yeah. Let's see. 2000, let's see, my real first programming stuff started in 2006. So what is that, 16 years? So 16 years I've been doing some form of programming. So either from like shell scripting, creating like Python automations, creating bash scripts, creating like little tiny C programs, looking at other people's code and fixing it so that it actually installed on Red Hat computers, and then eventually going into like web development and doing web development stuff. So 16 years. Now, would I consider myself an expert? I don't know. Like, I don't even know what expert really means in the programming sense. Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, that's my years, 16 years. Stacking, you feel that the nested if statement would be a lot easier to read if you took the happy path and removed the else. Yeah. I can also do if let okay and is a string. Also, something important, homeless. 16 years is not necessarily necessary to become an expert, and whatever that means. It could be significantly less for some people. It could be more for other people. It depends upon your practice and your work. So something that I'm fond of saying is, does somebody have, let's say, 5 years of experience, or do they have 5 years of 1 year repeated experience? Because in that case, they've been doing it for 5 years, but they only have 1 year's of experience, if that makes sense. Basically, have they grown during that time? And I've grown a lot during those 16 years. I've done a lot of different languages. It's actually one of the reasons I do this stream, is because this is forcing me to do different things. Otherwise, I'll just do the same stuff during my day job, because that's all they want to pay me for, is actually providing value, which is not necessarily new things. Okay, yeah, we could probably make this a little bit better. Let's get it working first, and then maybe we can refactor this and figure out how I want to do that nicer. DevOps, infrastructure, web development, full stack, Linux. All of these things are like what I picked up as I need them. And I think that's something that I noticed like a lot of students have trouble with is making sure that what you're learning is something that you need to learn. You see this a lot with people saying like, hey, how do I keep up with all the trends and like learn, every new, like I need to learn Angular, I need to learn Vue, I need to learn React, I need to learn Aurelia, I need to learn, every little framework under the sun to be a web developer and to grow in ranks. And it's like, not exactly, not really. What you need to do is make sure that everything you're learning is relevant to your growth path and like what you're actually going to provide value on. Because if you learn something and you never use it, you're just going to forget it. And then there is a complete waste of time to learn that. So instead, learn things that you actually use. You want to learn Aurelia? Fine, learn Aurelia, but also build a project that you then maintain for yourself in it. Does that make sense? And that, because of that, that's how you just sort of collect a lot of information and a lot of technologies and a lot of knowledge, is just because, oh, we have a need for DevOps in our company. Okay, what's the smallest amount I can learn right now to like get us going and moving forward? All right, I'll just build upon that. It's sort of like learning as the same process we do in coding, where it's iterative. Okay, so I get my creep, I get our role out of here. Okay, so I got the string, and then I want to, from the string, to take it, so we want to match on the string as a ref, or as a stir. Vanta Dev, hello. What is the impl keyword? So impl here is basically short for implementation. And let's see, where is it? Here, yeah, so role. So it's basically, think of impl as like in a more traditional object-oriented. This is basically now the series of methods attached to an object, or attached to a class, I guess, really. So we could think of role as our class, although in this case in the enum. And then I'm now attaching methods to this role that then can be used by anything implementing it. So for example, down here, I get the role here, and then I can now run that method on it that I created before. Now, when I'm doing these impl from, so I did impl role, that allows me to create my own custom methods. When I'm doing something like impl from for it, this is a trait that then has these methods that I'm having to implement. So think of it as more of an interface. And this is my implementation of an interface named from for role. And then I'm also setting what the type is going to be specifically. So does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. And if it doesn't, I will be happy to go over that again. Let's see, what else did I miss? Now everyone thinks that Ryan Dahl raised 2 million. Oh, well, we must go and learn fresh. Yes, that is absolutely true. That lots of people will go and like see, Facebook is using Hack for, instead of PHP. We all must learn and learn and use that if you want PHP jobs in the future. It's like, no, if you know enough about programming and you know enough about learning in yourself, you can learn these things really quickly. Like, for example, somebody says, hey, we'd like to invite you for an interview for our company. We're using Java. Doesn't mean you had to have learned Java before that person invited you to the interview. It's more of, okay, I'll learn enough to pass the interview. And then let's say you pass the interview, they offer you the job, you decide that you actually do want to work in Java. Okay, great, good for you. You then learn enough to do your day job. And then you continue learning, you continue growing, and then you get another job where you're not working on Java anymore. And then you're off to the races, like whatever the next thing is. Good explanation. Awesome. Thank you. Although I don't know if you're talking to me or Stacking or somebody else, because we all answered it. Okay, so I'm going to match string as stir. So then I can now, okay, so I want to now match these things here. So if this is a refill energy, I want to return self refill energy, but we need to get this thing. So I need to actually get the container. Get container. And then if you are if you're construct, oh, fat arrow, please. Okay, fat arrow. I want to do a self construct, get construction site like that. They're all the same answer at the end of the day. So we did it. Yes. Okay, so now I can take this string. So match the string unexhausted pattern. Oh, yes, I know. Now, if you're not one of these things, so if you're literally anything else than that, I want to warn. Do I want to warn and panic? Let's do warn. So warn. Tempted to create role from string. Oh, I can I actually get this? I don't think I can. String, fine. But that doesn't exist. Panic. Okay. So I've handled that. So now I can do a from this string. So we have this string here. So let roll equals get value from a string, and now I want to do a roll from this thing. Okay, great. So now I have the actual role that this creep is that this creep has. So then next up, I want to basically run and have the creep do its thing from the role. So we have the two things, right? So I guess I want to match on this role. Where am I? From here you are. So I really want to match on this. Okay, so refill energy, and this is going to be a storage. And construction is going to be it's a container. And this is going to be a construction site. Okay, so then what do I want to actually do for you? So if your job is to refill the energy, we can create a function to refill the energy. So collect, it's like function get energy from container. So we'll have a creep, we'll have a container, which structure container. And then that's it. Like I don't need to return an error or anything else. So how does this work? We're gonna do a creep. So we can do it here. Let result equals creep dot withdraw. Target is going to be our container. The type. Resource type. Resource type energy. And then the amount is, I think, an option. If I do none, it withdraws as much as it possibly can. Okay, so that gives me a return code. If result equal to return code not in range, then creep dot move to the container. Okay, so here we go. This one is pretty simple. We're just going to do get energy from container, pass in a creep, and pass in the container, a reference to the container. Next up, construct. So, function. Construct build I guess like construct of a creep and a construction site. Creep.build, a reference to construction site. If result return code not in range. Move to our construction site. Okay. So creep and a reference to the construction site. There we go. Okay, so this creep should now, this is like our run stuff. And then all the other code is like supporting for this. So that's fun. Okay. This is a lot of stuff that we've done without testing this. We should try this and see, do we just get horrible errors or does it just magically work? I don't know. Let's find out. Fail or success? Hey, it passed, it worked. Okay, so our creep goes over, grabs energy. Oh, it doesn't even need to move. We built the construction site so close that it can build remotely from here. So that makes it really fast and nice. It needs to refill, it looks like, twice to build a tower. And there we go. We now have a tower. Nice. Okay. So that is that one. Okay, so what I've been doing is I've been recording sort of like lessons for this, and I've been see. Okay, so yeah, this is a fun one. This is gonna be like they're getting more involved. But basically, we need to create the construction site. We need to get the list of our creeps. We need to set a role. We need to set the role on the creep. Probably should have initialized everybody with a new role. So like maybe a default role or something like that. And then add that, and then okay. Then we get the role from the creep. And we go from there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to erase this, and this one's fun enough. I'm gonna create an emergency backup over here. Let's see, what do I want to put this into? Let's do. Throw into text edit. Oh, that looks horrible. But whatever, it's text edit, it's fine. That's my emergency backup in case I need to look through these as notes to sort of like see what I'm supposed to be doing. So come on, make you... There we go. That actually doesn't break my eyes anymore. Okay, so then basically the only thing I want to start with here is the run. So get rid of all of you, and we're gonna have this allow dead code. Like that. Oh, this one takes in the tick, which is a U32, I think. There we go. Now we should be back to a failed state because there's nothing there. Yeah, excellent. All right, everything else is good. Let's go ahead and change that. Why do I have a DS store here? What are you doing? I must have opened this up in the Finder. Well, that's not good. Let's see, Screeps. Let's see. So if you ever notice a .ds store inside of like anything that you're working on, that's because somebody with a Mac has completely and totally failed to like hide this or like remove it, and what it shows is that they opened that folder up in a Finder window, because anytime you open up a Finder window, it just like it creates this behind the scenes for you. And it's how the Finder memorizes and knows, okay, this is like where things go. This is like the permissions of stuff. It stores that inside that one. Should be a global get ignore. I really should do that. Let's see, global get ignore. I can just do that in my home directory, right? I can just do vim.get ignore. Let's throw stuff in there. It's actually close you and code spelled Screeps. Okay, so that global get ignore, I need to, what do I need to do? I completely forget how to set one up. Actually, it's not really a Mac. It's just gonna be global get ignore. Get, let's see, a certain file. Yes, I know. Create a file name called .getignore in your home directory and add any file path pattern you want to ignore. Tell Git what your global get ignore file is. So git config -- global core excludes files. This one is what I want to do. There, okay, that made it go away. Nice. Thank you, Homeless. That was exactly what I needed to do. So let's see. Now I've updated these ones. I've reset you, so now I can add. So preparing for tutorial 9 lesson. Okay. So then I'm going to go to course and oh, I don't have one here. Okay, I need to update. Might as well just come back here. So I have this Mac. I want to. Oh, I just want to turn off. Okay, the only things I want to do, I want to turn off the audio, and I want to turn off. So I want like a multi-action. Ooh, multi-action switch. Drag an action from the right. Okay, so I want to turn off the music. Oh, so I can turn off just desktop audio now? No, I wanna actually like press the play button again. So system multimedia play pause. So okay, I want to do that, and then I want to turn off chat. So OBS, I want, this is a source. I want to deactivate, so on Brooks builds. In the scene, Mac main, source is chat. I want to deactivate that. Okay. Do I prefer ZSH or Bash, and why? I would say Nowadays, I preferred Zish. Back in the day, I was a Bash person. I remember back in the day, it was like, it wasn't ZSH or Bash. It was something like, do you prefer TSH or Bash, or do you prefer KSH or Bash? But I was always Bash because that was the default one that I got when I installed Linux the first time, and so therefore I just learned that. And then I did all my shell scripting on Bash anyways, except the few times that I had to go into Corn Shell. That was weird. Corn Shell is not fun. And then let's see. But yeah, ZSH is now default. I was using it slightly before default was, like, I think 1 or 2 years beforehand. So it wasn't a huge deal for me to upgrade everything over to it now. It actually is interesting because now it's even more important to like make sure that my scripts are just saying, like, you'll notice I still go like, hey, bin bash, like, as for my scripts, because I still haven't actually learned properly what I wanted, like what all the Zish scripts are. I just use it as like a driver. Okay, so we've got you going. You're all good to go here. So we're gonna sit inside of Docker. Okay, so I've got you up and running here. It's great. Oh, and I want to test this out. So if I do recording. Hey, okay, so that turned off the audio and chat. I don't see the little well of that anymore. So that's gone. Excellent. So, and if I press it again, I just get a big exclamation point on it. It does not know what. I thought that was a toggle. I thought that would like bring it all back. Hold on, let me. So, oh, multi-action. So 1 is that one. 2 is, okay. So then I want, all right. So source, I want to activate Brooks builds, Mac main, chat. And then system multimedia, press play. Okay, let's try this. So now that I'm off, it comes back. Okay. Feels like it caused major camera lag when you do that. That's interesting. Okay, so camera lag. So on my OBS preview, it's looking fine. How's my audio? Like specifically, like, is my audio like delayed now? From like when I'm speaking and when it looks like that, or is there still some camera lag or something else going on? And I could try this again. So let's try it again, and chat send at 0.19 time. Oh, you're looking at the okay. I see what you're doing there. All right, so let's do a. I was just Twitch getting screwy, so I'm gonna do it one more time. Let's turn this off. So I press my nifty new button. Yeah, okay. OBS itself doesn't show me any weird negative stuff here. So, I am going to do a little bit of recording here. So, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I will keep my eye on chat, but I am recording for YouTube, so I may not respond directly. If it sort of influences what I'm doing, or if it's like a problem or, you know, anything else, I'll probably integrate it as smoothly as I can into this recording. But besides that, I will respond to Twitch chat again as soon as I'm done. So we're going to be doing exactly the same thing that we just sort of figured out, making like tutorial 9 pass and work. So that is the plan. All right. Should have my mouse down here. Okay, ready? Let's do this. Welcome back to our tutorial on passing all of the tutorials on Screeps Arena in Rust. We're on to tutorial number 9, which is construction. So in this one, it wants us to do a relatively simple thing. And as we learned in the last one with Harvest Energy, these simple things get a little bit more complicated when we add WebAssembly and Rust into the mix. So in this case, it's trying to tell us how we can create a construction site, which in this case is going to be this, this tower here. And then we want to have our creep collect energy from a container and then build the tower. So that's the two things we need to do. Create a construction site and then build that construction site. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what our what our world looks like. We have a creep here, and we have a container here. The container is filled with energy. It has tons of it in here, more than enough for us to build a single tower. We have some swampland and maybe just sort of some good space. I'm thinking that if we just choose like somewhere around here, I'm looking at the upper right for like where we want to go. We can do 50-55, and that will, this spot right here will be far enough away that a creep needs to move back and forth, which is exactly the same thing we saw in that little video from the tutorial instructions. So let's do that. We'll do 50 and 55. So let's come back in here and I'll just write that down right here. So we'll do let's do let tower tower position equals, I'll just make this a tuple right now so we have like the X and the Y. So we'll do 50 and 55. Okay, great. Now, what are the steps we need to do? So first off, we need to create the create construction site for the tower. After we create the construction site, we need to get the creep. Once we get the creep, we need to collect creep. Okay, so at this point, it now is like two things that we need to do, right? So like there's two roles that this creep is going to have. So we need to assign role to creep. That role is going to be either sort of like collect, so collect energy, or it's going to be to build like a builder. Okay. Now, in what we've learned is that inside of this function, we are stateless, meaning that we might assign a role to the creep, but the very next tick, we're not going to be like having that still around in memory. So we also need to like get the role from the creep. Once we get the role from the creep, then we sort of like just do whatever we're supposed to be doing. So then run, like have the creep run its job. And so then that's like one of two things, right? Which is collect energy or build the turret. I created like nice and tabs and hit return, and Rust Analyzer decides, or I guess it's it decides, yeah, this is how comments are supposed to look. All right. Well, regardless, let's begin with this. So create a construction site for the tower. I'm going to do a lot of things in functions here that's going to make this function here just a little bit cleaner and a little bit nicer for like passing things around. You'll also notice that in run, I have this this tick being passed in. I did that over here in the main library. I am passing in the current tick that we created up here. We're doing that because we only want to create the tower construction site once. So let's do that on the first tick. And that's why I have this here. So, all right, so we'll do a function create construction site. Let's give like an X and a Y. Actually, you know what? I may not need to do this at all. There is a function we can use for this. Let's do let construction. I don't actually need the construction site. It's going to get lost anyways the next time this ticks around. So we're going to do a create construction site. This takes in an X and a Y that are U8s. So we'll just do tower position 0 and tower position .1. And then this, don't need that to be 2-owned. Okay, structure type. What type of thing are we going to do here? So this is going to be we need this to be an object. So this is going to be a prototype. Prototypes construction site. Well, actually, it doesn't want to be prototypes construction site. It wants this to be a structure tower. But it needs to be a special object, because if I try to do just this, it's going to yell at me. So what's the problem? Well, it needs this to be a reference. Okay, we can fix that here. But then next is it needs to be this object, and it found a very specific thing. Well, that's not really helpful. Let's see what methods we have on here. That's not giving us anything we can do. Maybe we can do an into, but I'm not really, no, we can't really do that. So let's go investigate what we have available to us. So we have these prototype. There's this function prototype that we have available here to us. Let's see if we can run it. And this is unfortunate that it doesn't actually show us in the list of things that we can run here as like prototype. But if I start typing it, it appears there. So we can then run.prototype. You are yelling at us because we have an unused result. So you return a result with a return code. So we can do now, if this result, the return code is, I think everything should be fine. So I'm just going to unwrap this. If it's not and we get an error, we can then come back and like handle it and warn out, hey, what exactly is this? So we create this construction site. Let's actually check really quickly to make sure that that worked fine. So I'm going to deploy this. And we're going to come back and run it. We should see a construction site be created, even though we still failed. And here it is. Here is our construction site. Nice and far away for our creep to now have to go and handle this. Okay, so next up, we need to get our creeps. So let's do let creeps equals get objects by prototype. Prototypes creep. Okay, so now I have a vector of creeps. We need to assign a role to this creep. Well, we also know that we only have a single creep, but that's gonna be fine. We can do this sort of like as if we had multiple creeps. Let's loop through all of these. Actually, at this point in time, I can just do for creep in, get objects by prototype. Okay, so we have ownership of the creep inside of this loop here. Next up, we need to assign a role to this creep. Now in this case, what are our possible roles? If we're empty on energy, let's see, if we're empty on energy, I want you to become a collector, essentially. And if we're full on energy, I want you to become a builder. Okay, so let's create a role. I'm going to do this as an enum up here. So enum role. So we have a collector and we have a builder. Okay. All right, so by default, we want everything to be just a collector. So we can also like check to see if we're on tick 1, we get our creeps and then we just assign the role out. That could be fine. And then after that, we'll just sort of like figure things out. Otherwise, we could maybe pass this creep into a method that we attach to our role and then have it sort of like determine, hey, what exactly should you be? Let's try that. So we're going to impl on role and we're going to do a pub function. I don't really necessarily think this should be like a new or create. Let's call this like a new role, because this is going to be assigning a new role to the creep if we need a new role. So we're going to take in a creep, which is going to be a reference to a creep. I don't want to take ownership here. And I want to return an option because I want this to be a none if we don't need a new role and a something if we do. And then we're going to put self inside of here at this point in time. Okay, so we have this here. How do we know which one it should be? Well, we kind of have this here. Actually, I didn't write it down. I just sort of said it out loud. If we have no energy whatsoever, then we should become a collector and go to collect. And if we have full energy, then that triggers us to become a builder. So if we have no energy, so if creep.store, if our get, okay, so if we have no energy, if our used capacity for anything is 0, then it's time for us to become a collector. So we're going to turn a sum self collector. Otherwise, and it can't be just an else, it has to be an else if creep.store.get free capacity. So if this is 0, then I want to return a sum self builder. All right, what are you upset about? Else if creep to store. Oh yes, and then finally else a none. So obviously, if we don't have any of these things happen, maybe we're halfway down on our energy. We're still in the middle of building. I don't want to like build, one little tiny bit and then, oh, got to go get more energy. So now you're saying cannot find use. Let's import creep and we're good to go. Okay. So I can get a new role for this. So for assigning new creep, let's get the new role. So if let's sum new role equals role new role, pass it in a reference to the creep. Okay, so at this point in time, we have a new role and we want to assign this to the creep. I'm going to do this in a function down here because using reflect, as we've used in the previous tutorials, is not always the cleanest. So I'm going to just assign function, assign, like, it's really just like, I want to set like a key and value on, like, assign role to creep, maybe that, assign role to creep. Like, I want to, maybe it's not assign role to creep. I want to store role on creep. So store role on creep. Okay, so store the role on the creep. I want to take in a creep, which is going to be a reference to a creep. And then I need the role, which is going to be a role. I'm not going to return anything. We're just going to be mutating this object using reflect. Now, if this fails for some reason, I want to note this out. Like, I want to log it to the console so we can actually see that this failed. Otherwise, we'll just be blind and won't know exactly what happened. So if let error equals reflect, and we're going to set. Okay, the target is going to be the creep. Our property key, okay, a property key. This is going to be a role. So we're going to do a JS value from stir role, okay, and then the value is, I need this to be a string. So let's do, we can do an into for like a stir, or we can do like a 2JS value on this. Maybe that could work here. Let's do an into. So we're gonna do an impl into JS value for role. Okay, so it takes in self, and then we're going to consume the self and then return a JS value. Okay, so given myself, let's maybe like match on this because it's gonna be slightly different based on these. So match on self, fill the match arms. Okay, so if you're a collector, I want you to be a JS value from stir, and we're just gonna say collector, like that. We'll just match exactly what that value looks like, and exactly the same thing here. So from stir builder. Okay, now I can do an into down here. So we have our role into like that. Okay, and so if we have our error, I want to warn error setting role on creep. I don't know if I need to say exactly what that problem is, but we now know if I get this error message, I know it comes from this function. Let's also panic so it crashes and doesn't try to do anything else. Okay, so what are you yelling at me about? You need to be a reference here. And exactly the same thing here, you need to be a reference. Okay, now we can set store the role on the creep. So in run, okay, so we get the role. We're going to now store the role on the creep. So store role on creep. We have a reference to the creep, and we have the new role. Great, okay. So we've now assigned the role to the creep. Next up, get the role from the creep. So the reason why I want to do this separately, as opposed to then just like keeping the role here, is because we need to do it for future future ticks as we go through the loop. The first time through, we're going, our creep yeah, our creep has no energy. And so it needs to, it's going to get a new role. It's going to store that on. It's going to start heading over to grab the, to well, grab energy. Okay. Then we're not going to get a new role because it's going to have energy and we're going to be working on that. Okay. So the next thing then is for us to get the current role from the creep. So let's do I can do like a from here. So we can impl from, I want, so if I take a creep, heck, if I take a reference to the creep, so I don't take ownership of it, or role, okay, so I'm going to take in a creep here, and we're going to turn self on this. So I need to grab the creep out. No, sorry, I need to grab the existing role out of the creep. We know we have one. So let's see, what do we want to call this? I need to do a reflect on this to grab that out. So I'm going to keep all of this inside of here. So let's do an if let. Okay, so if it's okay, we're going to get the role as a string. So role string equals reflect get. Our target is going to be the creep, and then the key is going to be this JS value from stir role. Okay, so that gives me this JS value here. You need to be a reference. Okay. If we get the role string, okay. I now need to check to see if this is indeed a string. It should be a string, but just in case it isn't, so let's do let our role string. I wish that I could like do multiple things inside of here, but I don't think we're yet ready to. I don't think the language yet can handle do something like and role string, like is a string. I don't think this will let me do that. Let expressions in this position are unstable. So it's working on it. It's something that's going to happen, but it's not available yet. So we need to just a little bit uglier. So let's sort of extract this again here, and I'll shadow the role string, but now it's going to become an actual string. So do let role string equals, and actually, you know what? I could just get a string from this. So let's create a function down here, sort of to help us out. So function, see, we'll do JS value to string. We'll take in a JS value, which is a, we have ownership of it, and I think that's okay for us to consume it at this point. So take in a JS value, and we're going to return a string like that. So the reason why I'm going to do this here is because I'm going to panic and I'm going to warn in a case that it doesn't exist. So if the JS value is string, so if this is false, so if you're not a string, then I want to panic and I want to warn. So this is our guard clause here. So do a warn JS value is not a string. And panic. Now, if we get to this point, we haven't panicked, it must be a string. So let's go ahead and return it. JS value as string. Oh, and this returns an option just in case it's not a string. So I'm going to go ahead and unwrap here. And then back up to here. So we're going to do a JS value to string, and this is the role string. Okay, now I have this role string as my, well, string. I want to now turn this into a role, as it were. Okay, so I want to, now if I return outside of this, that's going to be fine, right? So let's see. How do I want to do this? I want to return, so let's see, from, we're going to turn a, I guess let's match on this. If I'm going to match here, I might as well match on this line prior. So match on you, and then I'm going to do an as stir. So that way, I'm mainly doing this so I can just do this style here because it's a little bit easier. And then we're going to match these. So if you are a collector, then I want a self collector. And if you are a builder, I want to be a self builder. And if you're literally anything else, what are we going to do? We're going to crash and warn out. So we shouldn't ever get into this position. And if we do, we need to know about it immediately. So our warning is error attempted to create role from, I guess like from string. Let's store that away and let's grab this string here. Oh no, this role string here. Now if I'm passing this in as a JS value, I am taking ownership of it. Ooh, I don't actually know what it is. So let's just, although I have this role string here as stir coming in. I wonder if I can get access to like what that stir is. I don't think I can. I don't think it's going to let me like sort of extract that out. So I'm just going to say attempted to create role from unknown string. Unknown string. And then you guessed it, panic. That's going to make you happy kind of here. All right. So we're supposed to be returning a self, and we haven't done that yet. Now this is returning the self collector, self builder. We panic you, but then this if statement, if we ever reach an else here, this is also a panic state. So let's do another warn. This is error getting role from creep objects, and then we panic. And that makes you happy. So now I can create a creep, I can create a role from a reference to a creep. So down here, we're going to get the role from the creep. Let's do that inside of this loop. So this was only if we have a new role. So now I want to get the existing role. So that role equals role from then a reference to the creep. Okay, and that's going to give us the role. So, okay, we now have that. Next up, we need to actually run based upon this role. So we can match off of this, which means we might as well just match here. Match here. Fill the match arms. Okay, so If we are a collector, if we're a builder, what are we going to do here? So if we're a collector, we need to go find the collection and go do it. But it would be nice if I like knew what that was, so I don't have to like look it up I still have to look it up every single tick, don't I? I could potentially store this as a target on the creep. That is something we could potentially do. Um, Otherwise, I could just grab the collector here. Let's do that. So I'm going to do a function get collector. We know that there's only one at this point in time, but we could also just do this as like get collectors. That being said, if we're just doing get collectors, then might as well just do that all in here. So let collectors equals get objects by prototype, pass in our prototype structure container. Okay, so we have a vec of structure container. I want to get the first one here and then collect that one. So as long as we're not empty, we should be fine. And this one, and specifically this tutorial, we know absolutely exists. If we want to check to make sure, we can just do a quick if statement. So if collectors is empty, then we can't really do anything, can we? So we could just warn collector doesn't exist. And then we can continue on. We don't have to crash for this. We could continue in this case, but we're at the sort of like the end of the loop here. Let's not worry about it. So we're just warning, hey, the collector doesn't exist. Else, okay. So the collector exists. That means we're good to go. We can, let's see, now collect from it, right? Okay, well, that should be easy, right? You can do creep dot withdraw. The target is the first collectors. So collectors of 0. It wants to be a reference. Hit page down by accident or page up. Let's see, there we are. Our type, we want resource type. So resource type energy. And then the amount, this is an option. So I can give it a none and it will withdraw as much as possible. But let's do this as like, we'll get our result here. Result equals this creep withdraw. If our result is return code not in range, then we'll tell our creep dot to move to the collectors. So this will, in this case, the collectors of 0 and no special options. Okay. This is a lot inside of here. I'm not sure I exactly like this here. I think what I want to do is abstract this into a function that then basically just says, hey, creep, go and collect. Maybe I can grab the collector first, and if it's not empty, go collect from that. The other choice that we have is we can grab the collector that we want them to collect from when we create the role. That's another option here. So this would be, at this point in time, we could put a tuple type on this enum role and then have a structure container here. That could work. Okay, so let's try this. So if I have a structure container, when I create the new role here, I need to grab the structure container out. I also need to grab it out the other side of things. So let's create a function to get a structure container. So function get container. We're not going to pass anything in, and we're going to return a, we know we have a container existing here, so let's just do a structure container. So first up, we're going to get that, vector of containers. So let containers equals get objects by prototype. This is going to be our prototypes. Structure container. We can do our if is empty here. So containers, if you're empty, I want to warn. Could not find any containers. And then we'll go ahead and panic out of here. Otherwise, we're going to return containers, the first one, and we have to clone you out. So otherwise, it's going to yell at us about, not, trying to like move out when I don't really want to. Okay, so that's get container here, which means at this point, I can now run get container and store that inside of this collector here. We have a few more errors here. So roll collector. This is an if here. I don't really care about you, so I'll just underscore this for wildcarding. The next one here. Okay, so when we're doing a from, we want a collector. Okay, so I do want to get the collector here. So get container here, which means at this point, roll collector, I have a container. Here, I don't have to grab it anymore. So now I don't have to do this like collectors and do all that stuff. Now I can actually just do the thing, right? I want to then just withdraw. So turn you, that should be fine. Okay, so get a result equals creep withdraw from a return code in the middle there is kind of weird. This is the container. Give it this type energy, amount none. Okay, if that's not in range, move to this container. Okay, that seems fine. Same thing for builder. So I actually want to grab the construction site from here. So let's create a get construction site. So construction site. Let's see. Let construction sites equals get objects by prototype. We have our prototypes, construction site. Okay, so if this is empty, now we're going to win the game as soon as it's created. So I don't have to necessarily worry about having construction sites here or not. However, let's do this as if we did have to worry about this, in which case this should probably be an option with construction sites inside of here. So if this is empty, so if construction sites is empty, we're going to return a none. Otherwise, we're going to return a sum with the first construction site. So some construction sites first, we'll clone it out, and then we're happy here. Okay, so get construction site. So let's now put in here, we're going to have an option with a construction site inside. Okay, so for you, get construction site. That'll be fine for you. For role builder, in this case, it's nothing, so we're fine here. Next up is you, builder. So this is our from a string. We're gonna do a get construction site. And then down here, we now have our construction site. Nope. Our construction site. Now this is an option here. So there's a possibility that we don't have a construction site for us to build. So let's just if let some construction site here equals construction site. Okay, so we now know that we have a construction site. Let's go ahead and build it. So do the same thing we did previously. Let result equals our creep.build. Pass it a reference to this construction site. If the result is equal to a return code not in range, then creep.move to the construction site. Okay, we don't have any errors. We have a few warnings. Let's go ahead and see if this works, because this is a lot of code without us actually checking to see if it actually did anything. So it's successfully built. Let's come back to the game and rerun this scenario and see if it works. It failed. Let's go ahead and see what our error is. So we grab the energy, we move down to it. We're building the tower. Oh, but then we get this unreachable partway into it. So unreachable happens whenever like any kind of panic, any kind of unwrap, to do, any of those things gives us the unreachable. I don't get any other warning, like console logs out, so it's not one of our warns. It's something else happening here. So what are the various things that can go wrong? Let's see if we can find out. So we have this warn, and it's like a panic is also going to be an unreachable, but we have these warns that should tell us when there's a problem. Let's see, what else? I think there was one that I made like an assumption on. Let's see, it's not is empty. That should be fine. And it worked for a little bit and then suddenly stopped working. So let's just like move through the app. So it starts in, we create the new role. See, so we run. I'm not using this tick here. So I might be running into a problem where it's trying to hit this and create the construction site multiple times. Let's do this here. If tick is 1, so if it's the first turn, let's go ahead and create that. Let's try this like one change at a time, rerun the code, make sure that that's the problem that we actually ran into. Or maybe it's not the problem. Maybe we just fixed another bug that would have been a problem. Oh, that was the bug. So it attempted to create another construction site on the same place as the previous one. And that, of course, like caused major problems. The code crashed and nothing else ran. So we fixed it. Let's go ahead and watch it. Here's our creep. We get energy from the container. We move down to the construction site. We only have to be within, it looks like 3 or 4 spaces of it. And then we sort of like send our energy into it and build it. And then we just repeat this over again. It looks like one full creep can build half of a turret. So this should now get us to the finish line and then we'll be done. All right, so as a quick review here, what we did is on the first tick, we're basically running the create construction site function and basically marking into the world, this is where we want to build a tower. The entire sort of world now knows that, and which means we can now get the construction site later. We're then getting all of our creeps, looping through them. There's only one in this case. And then we're saying, okay, well, get us a new role. So like, what should the role of this creep be based upon the state of the creep? That's checking to see, okay, the creep has no energy whatsoever. That means it needs a new role, and the new role is a collector. Or the creep has, the creep has no energy, meaning that it's used all of its energy. Okay, it should be a, wait, I just did that twice. Collector, and then it has, max energy. It's finished collecting, become a builder. Okay, great. So we get the new role. We store that on the creep using the Reflect API, which is a JavaScript API. So this is not just something made up for Rust. Then we figure out what the role is. So we grab the role from the creep, and then we basically just do the thing based upon it, right? So if it's a collector, we take the container that we stored inside of the enum, and then we withdraw, energy from it. Otherwise, we get the construction site from the enum, and then we go and build the construction site. And then it's a loop. So it just runs over and over and over again until we won the scenario. So that's it. We've now passed tutorial number 9. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. And now I can turn that back on. All right, got myself into a little trouble because I forgot to do the tick thing first. I then changed it around a little bit for everything else, and then we're good to go. Sure Shock, hello. Also Cookma, hello as well. So I saw your message, but I decided, yeah, I'm doing this sort of like what Homeless was suggesting. I didn't want to do try from because I didn't want to like then do another handling of the option there inside. Let's see, where was that? Inside, no, down here. Inside of here would be like a double option here, and I'm not doing a returning of an error. That would be interesting. We potentially could do that. I guess we would get an option here. It'd be interesting. I could have like a default. I could have a default option. That could work too. But anyways, okay. So this worked. So let's go ahead and commit this code. Okay, so completed construction tutorial. I don't think I'm gonna have time to record the next one, but we can start looking into it a little bit. Because the next one is final test, which seems like it's gonna be a little bit involved. All right, so now you have learned how to control creeps, attack enemies, work with energy, spawn new creeps, construct new structures. It looks like you're prepared for the final test. In this tutorial step, you have a spawn and a source with energy. There's a party of enemy creeps who is going to attack you soon from the other side of the map. You need to spawn worker creeps, harvest some energy, spawn more creeps, and defeat them. And we don't even give you sample code this time. When you finish the tutorial, you can move on to real PvP arenas and start fighting other people in the multiplayer mode. Good luck, and have fun with Screeps Arena. So survive attack, kill all the enemy creeps, and complete the tutorial. So let's go ahead and set ourselves up. This is final test. Are you tutorial final test? You are tutorial final test. Okay, good to know. So, okay, we'll do all these. Okay, so this will be what my feature is called. I don't know if I need anything. We can just take in the tick. I don't think I'm gonna need it though. Okay, so we've got you. So we've done you, you, and you. Okay, so then main library. Okay, so run, pass in a tick. And then finally you. So this is tutorial 10. Branch. This is the name of the branch. And then features. You're the feature and you're tutorial 10. Okay, so if I build this, that should all work just fine. Okay, you do. And then let's go ahead and play this and make sure it fails appropriately. So we have 385 ticks to protect ourselves before the enemy comes and kills us. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So here's us. We have a spawn. We have an energy source. Our spawn has energy in it, and it also looks like it's gaining 1 energy per tick. So that's nice. Up here, we have some walls. We have 3 creeps. We have a fighter, so it has a single attack and a move. Okay, so it has no tough, so that's nice to know. So it has 200 hit points. We have a healer, and we have a ranger, it looks like. So 3 creeps are going to attack. Only 2 of them can possibly do damage. So what's our strategy? How do we want to beat this? We could just create a bunch of creeps and, just warrior creeps and just like wait until they're available and then just go off and attack. That's one option. We could create turrets and try to like stave off that way. I think technically we could also try to create walls and then protect us that way as well. Now, every single time these change. So we can't rely upon these swamps being in their exact same position. We're in position 5148. I think that's where we're always going to start. We're always going to have something that looks like this. So I'm thinking we would start by creating creeps. Let's see. So I want to do this down. Okay, so let's strategy. Okay, so strategy for this. To begin with, we're probably going to want a minimum of 1 creep just constantly refilling our spawn all the time. So, want at least 1 creep harvesting and refilling spawn at all times. Okay. Then I kind of like the idea of creating turrets and defending us that way. Even though I'm pretty sure we only have 3 creeps come by, this is probably a little bit overkill, but I think that would be kind of fun to like build. And I wonder how much, like, can we build multiple of these? So also I think this will be like complex enough that it would be good to sort of show off, to like prepare for the real world, as it were. So well, at least 1 creep harvesting and refilling the spawn at all times. We're gonna want another creep. So let's see. This is gonna be maybe like, so rolls are gonna be a like a refiller. So you're gonna have a refiller. We're gonna have a builder. So you're gonna just build turrets. My thought is for this, if we don't have a construction site, we create a new one. Maybe even we create like a random position somewhere in the level. That could be interesting. We probably want like maybe like just a row of them around. But that could be fun. Okay, so we could create a refiller, we can create a builder, and then we're gonna want actual defenders. So we have, this is a refiller. So this would be refilling for the, let's do like a struct refiller, or sorry, a spawn refiller. And then we're gonna want a turret refiller. Okay. We're probably gonna want to build an army as well. So we're gonna want a fighter, a ranger, and a healer. So that's gonna be our roles. I can't really think of anything else for this. Okay, then we're gonna have jobs. So we'll have jobs. Now, the job will be based upon like what your role is. So if you're a spawn refiller, for example, you're either refilling the spawn. So refilling, like you're actually like refilling, and refilling could be a spawn, but it can also end up refilling the turret, right? So you're refilling. We also have the, let's see, you could be building. You could be collecting, so you could be harvesting. So do this in the present tense. So we have refill, we have build, we have harvest, we have heal for the healer, so to heal, and then we have attack. Do I want this to be like ranged attack for the job, so I can just assign like rangers get ranged attack job? Maybe. I'm trying to think of like, would I know that I am a ranger. Let's do, just to make it simple, we'll do a ranged attack, and we'll do a melee attack, like that. Okay, so we have roles and we have jobs. I'm also thinking we'll store the target on the creep itself, because that's something we can do, is I could just store like a spawn as a target on a creep, or I could store a energy source as the target. So then when we go to do the refill, we'll just get the target and then just have it do the thing on it. So that should be good for us now. Every single tick we have to get our new creeps and sort of like move on from there. So that should be good too. Let's see. I think we can just sort of like start off with this. Maybe for our first tick, let's just create a bunch of the construction sites where we're thinking that we're going to be doing for this. So if tick equals 1, let's function create construction sites. All right. Do I know where I want to do this? All right, so right here are I was gonna say, like, what are these guys doing here? These are mine? No, these are the enemy. They've killed my spawn. Okay. If I come back to here, here's my spawn. This is in position 5148. I'm curious, if I run this again, am I in the same position, or is it just sort of like slightly off? Because if it's the same position, then I can... Oh, look at this. The terrain is different too. So like there was more terrain type stuff down here. 5148. So the terrain changes, the position of like these things stay the same. So what I can do is I can attempt to create like a ring. Like maybe we can do a tower. We know they're coming always from the top left. Let's create the tower. We can create like the towers, like several of them in this area. And some of them won't be able to be created, and I think that's going to be fine. So let's do like, we have 50, this is like 5143. So I could do one here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can do 5 up, 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. So I can take the spawn position and I can just say, okay, do 5 up from this, 5 left from this. I can even do like 5 down and 5 right. That will give us like a max 4 chances of getting it right. At least one of them should hopefully create a turret for this. So that the first thing we need is a spawn. I don't want to return an option for this. I'll just do the structure spawn. I suppose that if we don't have one anymore, then we're in serious trouble. So we'll do a let spawns. Yeah, at this point, if we don't have a spawn anymore, we're dead. So let's get objects by prototype. Prototypes. Spawn. Give me the first one. Throw that out. I might as well just do this all here. Okay, so I have my spawn, which means that in this first tick, I can create the construction site. Oh, wait, I did the wrong one. Create construction sites. So really create tower. Construction sites. Not going to return anything. We're going to take in a spawn, which is a reference to a structure spawn. So we know exactly where to create it from there. Okay, so I want 4 of these. So I want, I can get the X and Y from this. And okay, so I want left up, right and down. I mean, either that or I choose like, I choose like a random, I like bring in rand and like figure that out. Let's see. I don't know if I can use rand off the top. I bet I can. Let's see. Create. Okay, so we're gonna do a create construction sites. Why do I have double underscore? Don't want that. Okay, we want the X and the Y. So I want this to be 4 plus like maybe our X. So I'm gonna take a spawn dot, okay, X plus like 5. And then I want this to be on the same level as the spawn. So spawn dot Y. And structure type is going to be a types structure tower prototype. Now you return a result, and I can unwrap you here. I could unwrap you here, or I could handle it. Okay, so I'm going to get this return code. If this return code is, I guess I cannot create. What are my different return codes? So no path maybe. Probably invalid target. It's probably what it would be. It's invalid target. To create construction site. Returns an object with one of the following properties: error, number, one of the error constraints. Okay, so it's just some kind of error. So we can just warn this out. So warn error creating construction site. We'll do like right for this one. And I want the error dot, oh. You can be the debug mode for that. Okay, so I want to just repeat this. So now if I'm repeating this is exactly the same thing, except the only difference is the X and Y. So I want to create another function for this. Function create tower construction site. This is going to take in an X, which, what are you? U8s. And I don't need a return code for this one. So, okay. Okay, so if let error is this one, error returning construction site, print out that error so we can see it, and then this will just be X and Y. So then I want to do this 4 times. So create construction, no, create tower. Construction site singular. We'll do spawn dot x plus 5. Y is spawn dot y. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So then it's going to be y. Well, okay, so we do right side and then left up. So that's going to be -5. And then left side, -5. Same as y. And then down. It's 5. And spawns. Okay, so I get the first one here. So you're really just spawn. I want you to be a reference to that. There we go. All right, so first question: are we going to create those construction sites? Is that going to work? Let's see. Invalid target is indeed what we got out of here. So looks like, however, in this specific case, we would be able to get 3 towers. So that's nice. So that's fine to create that. Okay, so we're creating construction sites. What's next? We need to create a creep and have the creep start. Okay. We need to start dealing with this type of stuff. We need, to know which creeps that we're creating and make sure that we give them the right body parts. So I could give everyone the ability to just sort of like fight and heal and everything else. That would make them a lot more expensive than they really need to be. I kind of like the idea of just saying, "Hey, creep, we're gonna create these ones." And let's say I want one of each. If I want one of each, then I could create a struct that stores the counts of the creeps that I have. I basically need to know what I'm creating. No, because I like the idea of like once we get to the point where we have like maybe one healer, we just create ranged attacks and melee attacks. Just like keep on creating them and just keep it as many as you can. Big arm. Okay, so I want, therefore I need to know how many spawn refillers do I have? How many builders do I have? How many turret refillers do I have? If I have more than one, don't need to create any more. If I have less than one, create it. So I need counts for these. It almost makes me feel like I want a hash map where I could then say, okay, I want, yeah, the role would be the key, and then the number of them would be the value of that. Kind of like that. So let's create the role. Spawn refiller, builder, turret refiller, fighter, ranger, healer. I think that was it. These are all the possible roles we can have. So then I want the count of these roles. So if I want a count of these roles, and then I can check to see how many I have when it comes time to spawn them, which means I want some kind of function to, I guess like count roles. I don't need to collect anything, but we're going to return a hash map. Okay, so our key is going to be a role, and our value is going to be a U8. Then I want to go through, loop through all of our creeps, and then get the roles that they have. And I guess like we have an unknown too, right? So like unknown, or maybe it would just be a none. It's like they have a no role. So then in this case, we'll take in creeps, which is a reference to a vec creep. Okay, so I want to loop through each creep for creep and creeps. Okay, I have a reference to it. I want to get the role from this creep. So we could do a try from here. If I do a try from, so like thinking about that, I wanted to get that unknown regardless of what's passed in. So I think it's always going to work. So I will do an impl on this. To impl from creep, a reference to a creep or role. So this is going to be a creep. Okay, so what's the first thing we need to do here? I need to grab the existing role that's stored on the creep out, which means I need to use the reflect thing to sort of get out the string of that. So we're going to use reflect to grab the roll out. So if let error, guess like it's an okay and an error, right? So it's okay. We're going to get the roll string. So reflect, get our target is the JS value. Okay, and our key is going to be the same thing. Just value. Oh, I did this wrong. That's the key. Our target is going to be the creep. Okay, so if let okay, roll string, JS value equals reflect get, creep, JS value from stir, roll. Okay. I have this roll string now. I want to now grab this. Basically, I now want like, I want to do like an into or a from a JS value into this role. Okay. I kind of almost want to like do a get like a get a value from a, it wouldn't be like get roll, it'd be like get value from creep. So like get added value from creep. I wonder if that would make sense. Let's try it and sort of like see how this feels. So get sort of like custom value from creep. So I have our creep, and then we'll have the key. I want the actual value to be passed in here, which is going to be a stir. So make this a string. Because that's what this is right now. We're not storing anything else. It's like get custom string from creep. Okay, so exactly the same thing here. So if let error, actually it would be, let's match it. Match, select, get. Okay, so creep, JS value from stir is the key. We get an okay, and then I guess this would be the value. This would be the error. If there is an error, want to warn. So error getting key from creep. I think the errors are always strings, so I think I can unwrap that. Okay, so I get you. And then we'll probably panic this time. Maybe I shouldn't pass in. See this, okay, unwrap or default maybe. Unwrap or default. It'll be an empty string, but that will at least be safer than just a pure unwrap in a case that it completely fails. All right, you, so I get the error. So you're a value, I need to make sure that you're a string. So, I guess we could just do an unwrap or default on this one as well. So, we will do, although I like having this warning here. So let's do if value dot is string, then I'm going to return value dot as string. Unwrap you. Otherwise, I want to warn error converting value to string. Oh, sorry. Actually, this is error custom value on creep is not a string. That's what it is. Custom value with key on creep is not a string, and panic. Okay, and then that returns out, and so we should be happy. Okay, so then here, if I so then I want to do let okay, so this is gonna be the roll string. Really, I want to match the get custom string from creep, pass in a reference to the creep. The key is going to be roll. We want to do an as stir. And so then here we can do, okay, if you're any one of these, let's do the to-do trick. Yeah, that should make you happy. Kind of. Non-exhaustive patterns matched. So this none, I actually want you to be my non-exhaustive pattern. So if we don't get you, you become, okay, so you'll be the first one, right? So if you get a roll self none. Everyone else is pretty much going to be one of these, right? So return that. That's going to be our roll that we're getting. Okay, so if tick one is this, I now want to get, okay, so we're going to count the rolls. So take this creep and I want to get the role. So this role from creep. That gives me this role here. I then want to reach in. Okay, so we want to do the upsert thing. So the book actually goes into this really well, if I remember correctly. It's not going to be like a set, but we want to do. I never remember what exactly it is. So I want to do something like let. It's like counts role equals counts dot. What is my entry? I think is what it is. All right. Gets the given key's corresponding entry in a map for in-place manipulation. And then we can do this entry or insert with what it is. So we're going to do entry. The key is going to be this role or insert 0. Okay, so I get this counts role like that. I want to do a counts role plus equals to 1. You are, oh, okay. So you need to have equal and hash. You need equal and hash, but we can see if we can give you those. Hey, there it goes. Okay, so it's happy now. So now I can count the rolls. So on tick, I don't want to do this on tick 1. Every single time we go through here, we want to do our roll count equals count rolls. Pass it in all of the creeps, so we need to get those too. Now, I do want to filter this to make sure that they're my creeps. Otherwise, that could be not fun. So we'll do an into iterator. So we can take ownership of that. We can filter this. Our predicate will have a creep dot my, and then we'll collect this up again. Oh, homeless. I totally forgot. You had asked me that question while I was recording, and I looked at it and thought, okay, I need to answer this, and then completely forgot to go back to it. So thank you for responding again with another question, but that reminded me that you had mentioned this. So, all right, let me go back and read these and get them in order. So, do we need a mentor to go forward with our careers? I would argue that need, probably not. Is it a very good idea? Yes. Highly recommended. Also highly recommended you find a mentor near you, because that way you can meet with them every once in a while and then they can just show you stuff. Also, if they're in the same time zone, that's going to just help out a lot. Sometimes that's not possible, but it's highly recommended. Also, if you can find a mentor in the same company that you're in, or that you're just sort of like just doing something, like some similar types of stuff to them in the same industry, also very helpful. Because then they're going to have context about what you're asking about, what types of problems you're going to run into, and they could sort of advise you there. You need a business mentor. You want to create a SaaS application. You want to build it once and collect rent every month. Yeah, so that would be like you could have a business mentor who is like, they don't necessarily know code, they can help you with the business side. So that's the next thing, is you don't only need one mentor. You might, or you don't need a single person with all of the skills that you're looking to like get help with. Collect multiple mentors, each with like one specific thing for them. Now, once you collect these mentors, it's really important to use their time wisely, because they're going to be busy. Like, anybody who is worth being a mentor is almost always really busy because they have a lot of mentees. They're also being successful doing their stuff. You probably wouldn't want them to be a mentor if they're not, doing things. However, everyone that I know who is a mentor is happy to be a mentor, but taking care of their time as a mentee is really important. Otherwise, you're going to find that they're just not going to respond to your calls or comments or anything else. So things to be aware of. Good mentors won't actually give you advice. Good mentors will ask you questions to make you come up with the solutions yourself. So be aware that you might get tons and tons of questions, just sort of asking you to sort of like reflect and like continue to define what the problems are, so that way you come to the solution, and that way you get understanding of why you need to do certain things the way you need to do. The best mentors will just consistently ask questions, even if you're getting really frustrated. They'll keep on doing it. Let's see. Other things. Keep your problems down like low. If you have like 10 problems, only ask one to the mentor at a time, and then wait a little bit of time. Like wait as you're sort of like asking again for the next thing, until you've at least acted upon the previous thing. Also, in your emails or your messages or whatever to them, or your communications, tell them what you've been doing and how it's been going. Like, mentors get emotionally invested in their mentees. They're going to want to know, hey, am I helping? Am I not helping? Are you doing these things? Something that's driven me, and I'm pretty sure most mentors crazy in the past, is giving like help, asking these leading questions and helping you out, and then just radio silence, no information back. And then later on, okay, I have another question. It's like, well, did I even help? I don't know. Let us know. We don't know what's going on. Also, we don't have time to just follow, your website or anything else. So assume that we don't really know what's going on. Does that help? Hopefully it does. Let's see. Do I follow the 6 conceptual phases of a software project? Planning, defining, designing, building, testing, and deployment. Yes. And then I sort of like the next phase to that is something that you get from a book called Accelerate, which is a super, super good book. In that one, it talks about that those steps aren't individual phases of a software project. Those steps are consistently happening over and over and over again all the time. So we're always planning, we're always defining, we're always designing, building, testing, and deploying. And the more you do those, the faster you do those, the better things are. So take a look at what I just did for the Brooks Builds website. I created our Hello World app. I created a background with the shapes. Okay, that was the first story. So I planned, defined, sort of like designed what that was going to be about, and then I built it, tested it locally, made sure it worked, and then also I set up Pulumi and everything else to deploy that, and it worked. Everything is good and happy. So I would say that yes, like the next feature I'm going to do is also going to get a deployment. It's going to be tested both locally and in production to make sure that it's working the way we expect it to. The book Accelerate is a great book. highly recommended, and it talks about this different way of doing business. It's a more DevOps sort of style of doing things, which is do more deploys. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's just deploy more often, and then it has a lot of like metrics to has three to four metrics to sort of like test to see, are things actually working out? Because doing more deploys without testing, not a good idea. Doing more deploys without actually like fixing things can lead to badness. So interesting things to sort of discuss and think about. All right, so what I want to do is I want to create these before I end the stream for the day. So I'm creating these tower construction sites. Okay, so I did that. Oh, I wanted to count. Okay, so I count the roles. I want to, okay, so I got those. I want to print these out. So count roles, get all of this. So here you go. Yes, that is the book. That is the book. I don't have a physical copy. I got a I listened to the audiobook, not really recommended. It references a lot of graphs, and the author of the speaker, the reader for the book is like, okay, now imagine this graph where you have a line going from the bottom left to the top right with some little ups and downs. And I was like, no, that's completely useless and worthless. So like get either like a Kindle or like a physical, something you can actually look at, because the audiobook is not that great. Okay, so okay, so I get the roll count here. I want to print this roll count out. So let's just temporarily in here, we'll do a for count in roll counts. It's gonna give me the I don't care about, well, I actually do count the roll and the count. I want debug added to this too. So then let's go ahead and we'll print out what our roles are. So I'll just do let's actually do this in a function. So we'll print, this is gonna be a function, print, or I guess like log roll counts. So we'll take in a roll count, which is a hash map with roll and a U8. And I'm not going to return anything in here. Log roll counts, put in the roll count inside of here. Oh, I want just a reference to, I don't need to take ownership. And then finally, I only want to do this every like maybe 5 frames. I don't need to do this like constantly. So if tick, see modulus, let's do it every like 25 equals 0. Then log the roll counts. Oh, you need a type. So you are a vec of creep. Okay, roll count rolls. You need to be a reference. Okay, you're happy here. Okay, for roll and roll count. So roll count, I want you to be, let's see. I want to warn, we'll just say, let's see, creep counts. So I'm going to wrap this in these here so it'll be a little bit easier to see. So, okay, we'll have roll and then account. Okay, let's see if this works. So we should get just 0 zeros, right? Like we don't have anything in here yet. But we definitely should not be seeing our opponents, which would be nuns, right? So I guess they wouldn't show up anyways. Oh, this would be, okay, we at least get 2. So far we're okay. And I'm waiting until we get to 25, tick 25 to see if we get our first roll counts. Hey, there we go. Okay, creep counts, and we have absolutely none in here. So in as we sort of move forward next week, when we continue this, we should see new creep counts come in here. Now I'm trying to do this a little bit better because like when we get in the real matches, when we do ones where we actually want to build creeps, I'm probably going to pull this system in. We're going to use it. So, all right. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it for the day. It is after 12. I need to go get some lunch. I am hungry and my throat's sort of bothering me. I think I'm speaking like way too loudly today. So I'll be back. Let's see. Tomorrow is 4th of July. So it is a holiday here in the United States. I may start a little bit late. I'm not sure if I'm going to let myself sleep in or not. So either I'm starting around 7, 8, or a little bit earlier. Not exactly sure. Sometime in the morning. So if you're interested in watching me work on web development stuff, I'm programming a web app in U.RS and Rust. That will be tomorrow morning. That's probably not too long. I don't want to go until noon. I want to have like part of the day to sort of like hang out and relax and, have it be a holiday. The rest of the week will all be about an hour and a half or so, starting around 7 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you there. With that, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.